Hey race fans, it's race day top 5 with me, Frank 5. This special edition of recapping the dual races that happened last night, Thursday, and tonight's unbelievably wacky, I can't believe what I just saw, truck race at Daytona. Unbelievable. So let's get into everything. Number 1, the duels were last night, and we had our 2 duel winners, Kevin Harvick winning in Duel 1, Joey Logano winning in Duel number 2. The Ford Mustangs have some major horsepower right now, and, you know, there's a lot of concern regarding whether the Fords are going to be fast at the other tracks this year, even with the new aero package for the 1.5 mile or bigger tracks. But, you know, Ford's just really strong on the restrictor plates. I mean, they're just so dominant. They were able to, you know, when they get in front, nobody can pass them. I mean, people try to make moves mid-pack to try and catch up, but you don't really have a lot of help. I mean, you know, people like Kevin Harvick and Logano who have done this before, and they've won at Daytona, and they've won at Talladega. They know what they're capable of doing, and there are some guys behind them that have fast race cars but don't take the chances. It's pretty interesting, but they were both very fast cars the entire night. Harvick held off the likes of Stenhouse Jr. and Paul Menard in Duel 1, and then Joey Logano made a last lap pass on the first 2 corners of the last lap to get by Clint Bowyer and hold off Bowyer, Hamlin, and the others for the race win. So, you know, Logano and Harvick have put their names into the ring as favorites to win the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Number 2, the 2 open teams that had to race their way in, Parker Kligerman and Brendan Gaughan in Duel 1 and Duel 2 both got the job done. Kligerman, for a moment, it looked like he was going to miss the 500 because he was stuck behind Reddick, who was locked in on speed, but if he raced his way in, then Ryan Truex got in. But Kligerman, who had help from Kyle Busch, who was a lap down after getting turned by Jimmy Johnson a few laps earlier in the race, got some help from Kyle and passed Reddick, and he made the 500, sending Truex home. And then Duel 2, on the get-go, Brendan Gaughan had to fight against Joey Gase, who also needed to race his way into the 500. They were side-by-side for like 5 laps. That was one of the coolest battles for 5 straight laps, and they had no help behind them because they lost the lead pack, and there were guys behind them that were trying to preserve their cars with the 500 guys that are locked in, like Casey Mears, who timed his way in on Sunday. But they had a good battle, and Gaughan got the advantage, and he made the 500. And Gaughan had the chance anyways. No disrespect to Gase, but Gaughan just has to have more horsepower with Richard Childress engines. Number 3, Chase Elliott. We made some interesting moves in our qualifying race, trying to have an opportunity to get up there. I mean, we had a really good race car. We were like the only car when there was like 10 cars all by themselves after pit stops and was a caution-free Duel 2 race. We could just pass guys, and then we got to the top, and then if we moved, we got shuffled back, and we got back up, and we made a move, made a pass, made a move, made a pass, and then got shuffled back. Chase has got some speed in his car for Sunday. There's no doubt about it. We're going to be contenders for Sunday. We're going to be starting 18th, though, which is, you know, his worst starting position for the 500, but I don't expect him to be back there for long, pending nobody in front of him or behind him does anything stupid that causes a wreck and takes him out. So we'll see what happens Sunday. Only time will tell. Number 4, I cannot believe what I just witnessed in tonight's Truck Series opener at Daytona. The NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series that collabs with Camping World, that's still associated with NASCAR and the Truck Series. What a wild race to start the season! Unbelievable. The team that won the championship last year, Hattori Racing Enterprises, with new driver Austin Hill, who you may not be familiar with that name, but if you've been watching the Truck Series, been driving for Young's Motorsports the last few years, starts us with with this team, won the championship and optimism about making the playoffs, and they start out by winning at Daytona. Now that's a way to get your first career win with the team that just won the championship. Winning at Daytona, there's no greater feeling than winning in the World Center of Racing. And, you know, Hill was like the only clean car that finished that race. He finished ahead of Grant Enfinger, Ross Chastain, Spencer Boyd, and my guy Matt Crafton, who had a chance to finally break through and win. But we ended up finishing 5th because we didn't have quite the help that we'd hoped for towards the end. Because, let's face it, there were not a lot of cars left in the race. But great opportunity for Austin Hill. And this locks him into the playoffs, pending we don't have more than 8 winners this year, which is possible, though, because with the talent that we've got and all the good race car drivers, it's possible, but only time will tell by the time we get to Michigan for the cutoff race. And number 5, the reason I mentioned there were not a lot of cars. 9 trucks finished this race! 9 trucks finished this race! 23 trucks were in the garage because of crash damage. We had a few cars have problems on the get-go in the first 3 laps. We had the big one at the beginning of stage 3 when Jordan Anderson took a hard hit. Thankfully, he was okay. And taking out contenders like Johnny Sauter and his new reunited with Thor Sport. Brett Moffitt, the defending truck champion in GMS's truck that Johnny drove for. You got Austin Wayne Self, and Grant Enfinger was part of that crash, and he fell 2 laps down and still got back up to finish second. That was unbelievable. And then we had more calamity later in the race. I mean, we had Corey Roper crash. We had both of the KBM trucks, and Harrison Burton and Todd Gillen, the first two that finished 1-2 in the ARCA race last Saturday, tore up. We had Clay Greenfield and Timothy Peters, a former winner at Daytona. And then we had Bobby Garrett, the ARCA veteran, and Austin Wayne Self tangled together. And then we had Joe Nemechek and Gus Dean and all those guys. Just so much calamity in this race. I mean, there's going to be so many guys going to buy more trucks and parts at the shops before we get ready to do restricted play racing, which thankfully is not until October, and it's part of the playoffs. But thankfully, we don't go to any more restricted play racing until October. But, I mean, this was by far the wackiest Daytona race ever. This was perhaps the best Daytona truck race I've ever witnessed in my life. Not just because of the climate, but because of the race. I mean, there was a lot. I mean, for the first 2 stages, everybody used their heads. Everybody played it smart. And then the final stage, it was basically Katie bar the door. It was a wild one. I enjoyed it, and I hope everybody that watched that race can agree with me that that was the best Daytona truck race they've ever seen. That was awesome. There's a lot more to come for this truck season. So coming up tomorrow, I'll give an Xfinity recap about who won the race and, where everybody finished and if there are any issues. And then I'll give the big report about Sunday's 61st running of the Great American Race, folks. We are 2 days from the start of the official Cup season. I'm getting giddy like a little kid. I cannot wait for the season to start. So in the meantime, subscribe, like. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope you all enjoyed the Duels, which is going to look nothing like the Daytona 100 Sunday, and the truck race that blew my mind. Have a nice night.